Did you know that Elvis has an artist? She's the official artist of Elvis Presley Enterprises, although she never met the man. Betty Harper has drawn many famous entertainers during her career, but she was especially attracted to the image of the king of rock and roll. Ken Wilshire discovered how Betty captured Elvis with a pencil.
She's illustrated books and her own record covers. She's sketched entertainers and movie stars in intricate detail.
This is B.B. King, Lucille. I love drawing musicians. This was the first person I ever drew, was Roy Rogers.
And like Roy, in one way or another, many of her long list of notable subjects were heroes. But the #1 hero of her life,
you ain't nothing but a hound.
the king of rock and roll.
And this one's called the Memphis Blues. When I get back to Memphis, you can bet I'll stay, and I ain't gonna leave until Judgment Day. This took me a long, long time to do.
Like most of us, Nashville artist Betty Harper never met Elvis Presley in person, but looking at her artwork, it seems she knew him even better than his closest friends. She's captured his personality in incredible detail through her drawings and paintings, so all of us will always know her hero a little better.
But I think Elvis, to my generation, was more than a musical influence. I think he just touched us in a lot of different ways, and obviously my life. He was that inspiration, and he was an inspiration to a lot of us for a lot of things. You know, his kindness to his parents, or his generosity, just everything. He was that type of figure, the Roy Rogers, the Gene Autry, probably the last hero we had.
She was fascinated with his persona and how he affected fans, but Betty says she only went to one of his concerts.
But for what I do and what I did, to be able to sit back and just have that experience of the way the audience reacted to that one individual that could just walk out on a stage. He didn't have to say anything, he didn't have to do anything. He'd just stand there and the whole place was electrified. If he said something, then it was all over. I mean, just, you know, it looked like the most incredible lightning storm you can imagine when he just walked out on the stage. So that really puts another dimension into the drawing, you know, perception of just how he's perceived.
Betty's been drawing since she was in elementary school. It was about the same time Elvis began his rise to fame, and as he evolved, so did she.
It's a scene that when I drew Elvis, there was always a different person there. I just kept drawing and just kept accumulating. It was just always fun because it just seemed like a different person every time I drew it. Every time I put the image down, it was a new image. And it seemed as if I was repeating myself, but not when I drew Elvis. I've done more than 10,000 in the last 50+ years. I've learned my craft by drawing Elvis.
Indeed, she has learned her craft and found at an early age that there's more to portraiture than pencil and paper.
One point in my life, I was in a dorm when I was a senior, and I decided I was going to draw all of the kids in the dorm. So I set up in the foyer, and I'd have them come up and sit down, and I'd just start sketching them, and they'd start talking, and I'd look up, and they looked completely different than the picture I was drawing. So I realized that there was something else there other than what I was looking at. So I just changed my route. I had them sit down, I talked to them for a few minutes, then I started drawing them. Because you're really drawing a personality.
And to ensure she fully captures her subjects, Betty incorporates a palette full of media.
Photography, computer, pencil, I've done charcoal, pastels, colored pencil, watercolor pencils. I've even used rice, put rice together, or collages, cut out paper and color paper, and just anything that I can think of that might be an interesting way to go, I try. So it's endless, you know, when you're creating.
Her viewers love it too. You just can't help but falling in love with her works of Elvis as she shares them with her fans.
But I just like having mine out there. I like sharing it because it's been just a constant part of my life since I was very young. So sharing it with fans that enjoy seeing it is rewarding. They love it. I love hearing from them and talking about it. I love their opinions of it, what they like, what they don't like. I love hearing it all. I just love drawing. I love being able to create something and having people look at it. And when they look at it, I find that I stare at it also. And I've had people say, well, what do you think when you look at it? And I'll think, gosh, did I do that?
Yes, you did do that, Betty. Even more, you've kept a cultural icon's spirit alive and well in your studio and in your art. And just maybe Elvis really hasn't left the building. Certainly, he'll always be in our hearts and minds because of what you do so well.
Would I still see suspicion in your eyes? Here we go again, asking where I've been. You can't see the tears are real and cry.
Kid tells me that Betty has a traveling Elvis exhibit that goes from Memphis to Tupelo October 19th, eventually to wind up in Nashville at the Musicians Hall of Fame.